It's something that is unprecedented, but I do think it is correct that when such situations happen, we need to collectively think on the best way forward. And I guess it was correct that we are informed, even though late, that this is the situation.
We must all know that this is unprecedented, and this is not a practice that we want to set for this parliament. It is going to be your legacy, Speaker, that during your tenure, Parliament could not debate and adopt budget. We are saying to you, you are denying this body an opportunity to be receiving a budget, debate it, accept it, or reject it. You are now subjecting the budget of South Africa to party politics when the budget is supposed to be above party politics.
This day is actually quite a shocker. We are really shocked. This is in the past 30 years, to have a day like this is a serious indication of the crisis that this country is facing. This country has got no leadership. This is what we are facing. We are saying, if we say we have democracy, let democracy come and exercise itself here. This is the theater of politics. Let the Minister of Finance come and say whatever I wanted to say.
If we are serious and if we are responsible, we will understand the circumstances. And we know that some political parties will try to make cheap and score cheap political points. I think we need to be responsible. We need to think in terms of the economy and the message that it may send. And we from our side will support the decision and give ample time for the executive and the government of national unity to come to the right conclusion. And it's not true that Parliament will not have an opportunity to discuss this. When the time is right, we will all, as representatives of the people, discuss the budget in full. We support the decision. Thank you.
Where was this discussion held? Why was the UDM not part of that discussion? As a result, we cannot support a decision that we know absolutely nothing about. Secondly, we should not treat a proposal from the executive in the nature of a budget as fait accompli. It is only final after Parliament has approved it. It is therefore logical, if the minister was going to table a proposal, that the proposal should have been tabled here for Parliament to consider, and if Parliament does not agree with that process, we can arrive at a different outcome altogether.
So any natural delay that emerges as a function of today does in fact mean that Parliament is placed under pressure in not being also being able to consult with the people, for this is where the people are represented. So may I ask that it must not be an arbitrary decision as to when this must be tabled. We must be given a firm date so that we can work the timetable consistent with law. Otherwise, the disagreement that took place today will end up in the court of law, and we as Parliament will be held accountable for that.
We need calm heads, we need level-headedness at this time, given the fact that the executive has decided not to table a budget today, and it could have severe impact on the markets and on the currency, and therefore we need to send a message that we and those parties that are in agreement with the postponement, that this is in order for the government of national unity to obtain consensus on some contentious issues.
The GNU is anti-poor, the GNU is anti-growth.
Order, can we please listen to the speaker on the podium?
And it's an absolute disgrace. The growth is, our country is battling with economic growth. When the market sees what's happening with us, it's an absolute joke. And one of the reasons why they can't make a decision is because it's such a bloated cabinet. And the poorest of the poor are paying for a bloated cabinet. There are deputy ministers here that don't even know what they do. We don't know what they do. And we are paying for it, and it is unacceptable, and they should all hang their heads in shame.
We did form part of the consultation as the IFP, and we agreed and supported the proposal that was put forward before the chief whips of political parties. We view this as a sign of leadership, that when you do need more time for fine-tuning on some of the aspects, you approach Parliament for postponement.
What is happening here today is actually showing two factors that should create immense confidence in what is happening in this country. The first is that Parliament is not a laughing stock, but that Parliament is no longer a rubber stamp to bad policies that will cripple our economy. And the second message that should go out to the markets and to the people of South Africa, Madam Speaker, is that the GNU does not consist only of one political party. Madam Speaker, therefore, the DA supports this postponement, and we hope that the executive will use this opportunity and this time to consider all the proposals on the table, especially the DA ones, so that when we hear a budget that gets put before this House, that it will be a budget of growth that will put our economy on the path of recovery and that will create jobs for the people of South Africa that they so desperately need.
The first concern that we brought to fore is the fact that we knew that there were problems even before today. Why wasn't a postponement done sooner than us having to sit in this House? That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you go and look at the markets, dear members, it is already impacted by this budget speech, which is not happening. And also because of our politicking. Who is going to be impacted? The nation. So Al Jamaa will support the postponement. Why? Because if it is the interest of our nation that they won't be impacted, that is why we will support the budget, the postponement.
You cannot allow a case of the incompetence of the executive, even at the incompetence of Parliament. The executive did not know yesterday that there's going to be a budget today and there's no agreement in the so-called GNU. Therefore, the executive, the Minister of Finance, must come here, present what he has, and let us as the people, as the representatives of the people, decide for the people. This notion, Speaker, of saying want to assure the markets and all of these things, it is problematic. This House does not belong to the markets. It belongs to the people. We are the representatives of the people.
Speaker. Rona re le motho ha a tla tlo presenta mona. E qaqile go ntwena ya tshwatleya jwale. Ntwela ya phitlekanya jwale. Se ba tsholo ba re bana le lona ba nna le safe. Ha tle mona tlo bua setjhaba se moemetse. Re ke be ra kgona ho sebedisa di resources tsa government for mahala ga tlela mona re na le baeti mona. Ha tle motho na go utlo re kholo mo phiatlakanya le yena ha etsa tsa hae. Danke.
What I have seen the past 2 weeks, I want to tell the people of South Africa that I have seen humbleness, humility, and people that listen to each other. I want to congratulate the Minister of Finance. You came to present a budget which the DA, the PA, and the different parties didn't fully agree with. But the ANC were humble enough and say, let us hear you. What is it you don't like here? For 2 weeks we've been busy. We are seized with the last issue. A wise man changes his mind. We are united. This is not a one-party state. We are together, united, all of us that you see here.
It's unprecedented. But I also want to say that it's really important that all of us as political leaders are honest with South Africans. There are 10 to 15 years of corruption, of waste, of mismanagement, of destruction of institutions, where our national debt has quadrupled. It was 1.4, 1.5 trillion. It's nearly 6 trillion now, and we've got nothing to show for it. Means at some point we are going to have to take some really difficult decisions.